Hey folks, it's Ted Cantu. I'm here with the Miracle Mind Shift, and I'm here tonight to share with you a special story. We're coming up in the 12 days of Christmas. It's actually right now, and we're also in Hanukkah. So I had to think about what I was going to do tonight for a show, and I was remembering this event that happened a good 30 something years ago, and for some reason I must have stored it away in my memory uh, to be included in my book that I'm going to write about all my experiences. And then I thought, well, why not just put it on the show and share it with you guys? So I haven't talked about this in a long time. And those that know me really, really well know this story, and family too. And I don't talk about it very often because it belongs in a very special place in my heart. But I will tell you. So here we go. It's a true miracle story. And I'm going to really stretch your imaginations, especially if you're not spiritual. A lot of my friends are not spiritual, but I'll just give it a shot and just see where it goes. So, anyway, um, the early 90s, I want to say it's about 92. Might have been about 92. For some reason, I want to say that's what the year it was. Could have been 93. Uh, could have been. But I was living in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And it was a snowy night. And it was, I mean, like a snowstorm, in a way, because black clouds, dark, kind of like a rainy night, sleet and snow. I was coming home from shopping, and I was coming home from Christmas shopping, and Arborland Mall, which is right off of Washington Boulevard. Um, and I was cutting through, I believe it was Picard, and Mount Pleasant they call it Picard, and Ann Arbor they call it Pickard, right? Anyway, I was coming through that town on a side street, and I believe I don't know where I was going to after that. I was probably going to go visit my grandparents, but the electricity in my car went out, and I was driving a Ford Tempo, black Ford Tempo, that I used to make a joke, and I used to call it. It was short. It stood for temporary. It was a used car, and there was always something wrong with it. I remember like, one time the muffler fell off of it. I had to get that fixed, and I had nothing but problems with this car. Well, it was around this time when I used to pray over that car all the time just to keep it going. And I used to pour water inside the radiator, and there was a certain way that you could kind of work with the inside of the car. You had the lid up and the hood up, and I knew that car just enough to keep it on the road. I mean, it was crazy. But this time, I was in a lot of trouble because I was in the turning lane at an intersection. I was just getting ready to approach it, and everything just stopped on my car. Just there was no power. So uh, I could have been hit from the front. I could have been hit in the back. Could have been broadsided. I mean, and there was city buses everywhere. The Ann Arbor bus system was all over, and they couldn't see me. And keep in mind, it was a black Ford Tempo, right? And in that atmosphere, I was practically invisible. So obviously I started praying really intensely. And I was right in the middle of the road, and there was a grocery store on my left. And this is what I saw. It was two guys walked out carrying grocery bags. I remember that they were brown sacks. And I had my window rolled down. And I looked at the guys, and they looked at me, and it was a black guy and a white guy, pretty young, in their 20s, probably. They looked about 27, 25, 27. You know, strong looking guys, but not super huge, but they were built, they were adults. They weren't kids. They I flagged them down. I said, "Hey," he said, "You got trouble?" I said, "Yeah." I said, but the electric in my car went out. I'm in a lot of trouble. All right. I didn't see them put the groceries down. That's the funny thing. I remember looking at my wheel, and looking around, making sure I'm not going to get hit. And the next thing I know, they were behind my car. They told me to put it in neutral. I did. And one of the guys says, "You want to steer it to the left. We're going to put you in the parking lot." I said, "That sounds good to me." So they started pushing. I could feel the car move, and the car's moving. I turned the wheel, and it was real slow, kind of heavy. And I looked in the back rear mirror, and I had snow on the back of the back windshield. Couldn't uh, couldn't see anybody, and I couldn't see the guys in my little mirror either because I kept looking. You'd think you might see something, like you might see the guys' arms or their faces or or something, but there was nothing there. So they yeah, I'm getting chills just talking about it. That's my kundalini. So I got the car in the parking lot, and that was a big parking lot. And these two guys are pushing that car. I could feel it. I could kind of hear footsteps. And again, I looked on the side mirror, the rear view mirror, and I couldn't see a little bit of snow on it. I couldn't see the reflection behind me. And again, I looked over here in the rear view mirror. I couldn't see them either. Kind of hear them though. I can kind of hear them. They weren't talking to each other. I didn't hear that, but they pushed me right across the parking lot. Now they pushed me right to the end of that parking lot where there's no other cars. Uh, it saved my life, and I reached in my pocket and I pulled out some money. I was gonna tip these guys, and I opened the car door and I jumped out with one foot, and I would say, "Hey guys, thanks for helping me, and I want you to have this." It might have been $5, it might have been 10, I don't remember, but I was gonna give it to him. And as soon as my foot hit the pavement, I got out, got out of the car, and I looked across that parking lot, and there was no people. There was nobody. Now that's a big parking lot. You think that you'd see the two of them walking back to get their groceries, right? They left their groceries. I didn't hear a footfall. I didn't hear anything. There's no footprints. If I remember, there was tire tracks where the snow was. um, they vanished, and I believe they were angels. Now, this is interesting. Now, I'll just tell you the whole story now, then I'll give my commentary at the end. So, I'm sitting in my car trying to figure out what was that all about? Thinking that these guys saved my life. I'm trying to process this whole thing. And I thank God and thank my angel, my own personal guardian angel, for getting me through this. And I took my keys and I put them inside the car just to see what would happen. And I turned it on and it started up. Now, I don't know much more about cars now than I did then, but I do know this. If the electricity came on like that, which I don't know why it would, you would think I would need a jump. And you think these guys would have stuck around and see if I needed a jump, right? Think about it. Because of my experiences, I have always had people ask me when I'm in a bad situation. But it was almost like they just wanted to send a message that, you know, to believe and to care about spiritual life. But that car started up and I heard the radio and I couldn't believe it. I went straight home. Supposed to go out with my buddies that night, run around town, go bar hopping and stuff. And I didn't have the heart to do it. I just wanted to stay home and give thanks. And I think, if I remember right, I actually busted out bawling, crying my eyes out. That God, you care about me so much. Because I was a real tearaway when I was young. Now, I told a few friends of mine that story. And of course, they said it doesn't add up. You're nuts. You're nuts. And they didn't want to hear about it again. I grew up with a lot of guys that were atheists. You can imagine colleges like that. People that didn't believe in God, or they fell away from it, or they felt they didn't like religion, or took it out on their parents. I always believed, but I got pretty wild for a while. Now you can see I'm wearing my St. Michael's medal. I wear that everywhere I go. But back then, boy, I think I was really, it was like a calling for me to come back to the church and come back to myself because I really kind of fell away. Not super bad or anything like that, just, uh, but enough. I had fallen away enough to, yeah, to get a wake up call. And that was my wake up call. Anyways, that's it. I do believe in Christmas, angels, miracles, the supernatural, the incredible, the fantastic. And now I'm finding out that in the book of Robert Collier today, I was going through some of his work and talking about riches and wealth and manifestation, that we represent a cell in the spirit of God, that we're a part of the universal mind and the universal heart, that we can tap into supernatural power when we really, really need to. But you have to call it forth. You have to speak it. You can't just think. You got to activate it. Like God said, let there be light. He didn't question it. He spoke it into existence. Anyway, I want to leave you with that. That memory. Now, I do believe I've been talking for more than 10 minutes, or maybe I'm just a little under. I'm not sure. But that is my Christmas miracle story, part one. I got a part two. I might do that tomorrow, but I just want to give that to you. So, if you want to get a hold of me for consultation, or if you just want to talk about your spiritual stories and if any questions that you might have watching this series, you can always contact me right here at the Miracle Mind Shift. That's the Win. That's my company, and this is at tedcantu.com. That's my website. You can also find me at 248-277-6141. That's my personal phone line. And you can email me at tedcantu@gmail.com. So those are the ways you can get a hold of me. I want to thank you for joining me this evening. And if you want to reach your own supernatural power, we believe if I can do it, you can too. So thank you for joining me. And I'm wishing you a happy Hanukkah and Christmas season as we count down. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you online.